Right, say hey.
Hi. Hi.
We good?
Yeah, we're good right now. Until the end of the day.
Okay. All right. We are going over on our sheets rule number 9 and 10 today. We're going to introduce 9 and 10. All right? So, the rule number 9 is parenthetical. Everybody say that word.
Parenthetical.
All right. If you look at the word parenthetical, it looks like parentheses, right? Parentheses. Okay. Well, in math, what do we know about parentheses?
Do them first.
Got to do that first. All right. It's the opposite, pretty much, with grammar. The parenthetical, you don't need it. We also call it just a punch in. Punch in. So when you see me do that for you at home, the punch in, anything set off with commas, pretty much like in a positive, you don't really need it. It's just some extra words to give you some more clarification as to the noun in front of that appositive. Well, a parenthetical just makes your writing a little bit more interesting, okay? Can give a little bit more force to what you're trying to say, all right? So, here are some. To be sure, if you look on your sheet, for example, I believe, this one is used a lot, that these are common parentheticals. Of course, very common one. Nevertheless, very common. However, therefore, and consequently. Last one I'm putting up is indeed. And then I have that little thing that says and more, plus more. These are not all of the parentheticals that you can use, but they are parentheticals that you will use for the most part, for the most common ones.
For therefore, you spelled T-H-E-R-E.
F-O-R-E. That's how you spell the word therefore. T-H-E-R-E-F-O-R-E. What were you thinking it was, honey?
I was thinking it was like actually for F-O-R.
You were thinking no. You make sure you put the E on therefore.
I did.
Okay? Make sure you spell it right. All right, so how are we going to use these? You are going to, if I ask you to write sentences, or Ms. Taft asks you to write sentences using parentheticals, if you get too wordy, and a good vocabulary word for that is verbose. Verbose. Now you're on to a new vocabulary word. If you get too wordy, you're going to really mess up. Especially with consequently, therefore, however, and nevertheless, because those are also transitional devices. That's for a different lesson, okay? You have to come up with one sentence, one independent clause. It can be as simple as, I went to the store. Okay, let's take that one. I went to the store. Very simple. I went to the store. Okay, can everybody see that? I went to the store. Now, these are punch-ins. What am I going to do? I'm going to pick one of those, and I'm going to punch it in. Everybody pick one that they think would go well in that sentence. I've got one I want to use. Now figure out where you're going to put it. All right, which one are you picking?
Of course, of course I went to the store.
Okay, he's not punching it in. He's starting his sentence with it. Okay, that's okay. but I don't want you to do that.
Okay.
Because that's where introductory prepositional phrases would come. I don't want you to do that. You can do that technically. You could say, I went to the store, comma, of course. Okay? I don't want you to do that. I want you to actually punch the parenthetical in. Which one are you going to use?
I, however, went to the store.
Ah, we great minds think alike. That's the one I was going to do too. I, comma, however, comma, went to the store. Now, does everybody see that? I, comma, we got to set them off with commas because these are comma rules. I, comma, however, comma, went to the store. Okay, another one, Taylor.
I said, I went to the store. To be sure, I should make a list.
Oh, no, ma'am. Oh, she got too verbose. You have to come up with one sentence and stop. You started, I went to the store to be sure, I got blah, 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 blah. No, no. Come up with one sentence, one short, complete, independent clause. What makes something a clause? A and a
Subject and
subject and
a
a verb. Okay,
I indeed went to the store.
there we go. I indeed went to the store. I nevertheless went to the store. I, for example, went to the store. Maybe you wouldn't go, but I did. See? So, now, if you're getting older and you can't remember, you might say, I believe, went to the store. You don't remember if you went to the store or not. Okay? All right. So, these are punch-ins, parentheticals. You're going to have trouble if you get too wordy because you will not be using these as punch-ins, as parentheticals. All right, I want everybody right now on your, in your rules, right below your rules, write a sentence. Just write a sentence. A short, good, independent clause. Just write it. Just write the clause. Come up with just a sentence. Make up a sentence. Make up a sentence. Do not put any commas in it. No, no, no. Come up with your own independent clause. Write it. Everybody write it. Write your own. Shh, write it. At home, write it. All right, shouldn't be more than 4 or 5 words. You got it? It could be something like, the dogs barked. I saw a robber. I am going to be a witch for Halloween. Just something like that. Okay? Chance, what sentence did you write?
I'm going to the Carolina game Saturday.
I am going to the Carolina game Saturday. Perfect. Okay, now he's going to pick one of these and punch it somewhere in that sentence.
I am, for example, going to the Carolina game.
That would fit, that's fine. That'd be fine. Help him out with another one. No, give me his sentence. How about this one? I nevertheless am going to the Carolina game Saturday. Maybe somebody asked you to do something else. Or you know, something came up and you said, well, I nevertheless am going to the Carolina game Saturday. There are lots of them. I, of course, am going to the Carolina game Saturday.
I believe I'm going to the.
No, now you've changed it. Now you've given me, I believe. Watch this. This is important. I believe that I am going to the Carolina game. Now you've given me a subject and a verb of your sentence. This is a restricted clause. That's why I don't want you to start these. I don't want your sentences to start with one of these. I want you to have your sentence and punch it in. Give me your sentence.
I love ballet.
I love ballet. Okay? Now, give us one with a parenthetical, that same sentence.
I indeed love ballet.
That's perfect. I indeed love ballet. What is she going to do around indeed? Put commas. Okay, does everybody get parentheticals? You're gonna get in trouble if you start getting too wordy. Before you even try to use one, come up with one little sentence. Aiden, what was your sentence?
He is a good butcher.
He's a good,
Butcher.
oh man, that's an important job. He is a good butcher. Okay, I rely on mine. I go to 2 different meat markets and boy, they better cut me my meat correctly. Okay, so that one's really easy to put things in.
Right, oh, I did indeed.
You know what? I even like, suppose somebody was questioning something about him or something. Or you would just say, well, he consequently is a really good butcher. He consequently is a good butcher. He indeed is a good butcher. He, I believe, is a good butcher. He, to be sure, is a good butcher. He, of course, is a good butcher. He, nevertheless, is a good butcher. Maybe not good at something else, but he is a good butcher. He, however, is a good butcher. Almost every one of those, I think, works with that sentence. Now, you don't always have to punch it in right at the beginning. Let's think, let me find one to where you can, let's see. Look at this one. All right, look at this sentence. Okay? We had a hard time understanding her. Okay? We had a hard time understanding her. I don't have to put my punch in right there. I could, but let me put, I'm going to use however. We had a hard time, however, understanding her. You see, you can put it where it sounds to your ear in that sentence. Does it sound good right here too? Yeah. We, however, had a hard time understanding her. Would it sound good right here?
No.
But it wouldn't be wrong, would it? We had, however, a hard time understanding her. It would be okay. Not my top choice, but it sounds okay. But I like it right here. We, however, had a hard time understanding her, or I like it right here. We had a hard time, however, understanding her. Goes well there too. So I don't want you to think that it has to just be the very next sentence. It can be punched in anywhere in your sentence that makes sense. Okay? All right. Now, I want to get to this last rule. So we're going to move to the last rule. That way we cover our list. And then, boy, do we have to just keep practicing. Okay. Last rule. Looks a little bit like parenthetical, but it is participial. Participial. Participial phrase. Is it going to have a subject and a verb?
No,
Why not?
because it's a phrase.
Because it's a phrase, not a clause. phrases don't have subjects and verbs? Well, the first thing you gotta say is, well, good Lord, Miss Lee, what's participial? What is a participial?
It looks like it has the word part in it, so are you parting something?
No, it actually doesn't. This word itself is not like parenthetical. It doesn't kind of give you a clue. You kind of don't know. Unless you are a little bit older and you've studied verb parts. It's a part, it's a verb. So right now in your notes, write this. Participials. They look like verbs, but act like adjectives. Hold your thought. Looks to your eye like a verb, but acts like an adjective. How about that? That's weird, isn't it? Okay, hold your thoughts. No questions right now, unless you're dying. Okay? So what does the rule number 10 say? Maya, read number 10. Do you have your list with you? You don't have them? Read it. Rahel, read it.
Consider participial phrases. They look like verbs but act like adjectives.
All right. They need to be set off with commas. Most of the time, they'll probably start the sentence. Okay? All right. Let's take an action verb. Let's take run. All right, another thing I want you to add right here is they will end in ing or ed for the most part. Guys at home, end in ing or ed. Present tense of verb, past tense of verb. Okay? Jumping, that's action, isn't it? That's a verb, jumping. Okay, that's now. That's what I'm doing right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay? Jumped, ed, past tense. I did that earlier in the day, or I did it yesterday, or sometime in the past. Ed is for the past of the verb. Ing is the present of the verb. So let's use ing, the easiest one. All right. All right, everybody just look at this sentence. Look at it and pay attention. Jumping around frantically. I put a comma there. The cat lost his balance. What is my independent clause, Chloe? What part of this whole group of words on the board right here is the independent clause?
The cat
Lost.
lost his balance.
Good girl. Here is my actual sentence. Does it have a subject? Let's test it. Yes. Does it have the verb?
Yes.
Do you see in this group of words another word that looks to your eye like a verb?
Yeah, balance.
What?
Jumping.
Jumping. Jumping. Right here. Here's your participle. There's your participle. It didn't say we balanced two things. This right here tells me what part of speech balance is in this sentence. Is balance a verb or a noun in this sentence?
No.
A noun, it's a thing. His balance. Okay? Remember, it has to look like a verb and act like an adjective. Well, if jumping around frantically is this whole thing, is the participial phrase, what is it an adjective for? Adjectives describe or modify nouns or pronouns. What does jumping around frantically talk about?
The cat.
The cat. This is the adjective for the cat. It's a jumping around frantically cat. It's not a black cat. It's not a skinny cat. It's not a tiny cat.
An ugly cat.
It's not an ugly cat. It's a jumping around frantically cat.
Like it's
What do we call the three words here? Now, not all phrases have to have three words. It can be a one-word participial. This one happens to have three words with it. What do we call this? An introductory participial phrase. I'm going to write another one, then you're going to practice.
Miss
All right? Uh-huh.
Could it be like living or lived? Could that be like
Well, any verb, honey. You want to make one with living? Okay. Living. Do y'all know what living large or living the life of Riley is?
yeah.
Okay. All right, let's just put living large. That's kind of a colloquial saying. Living large, Mandy bought a condo at the beach. Okay? What is my independent clause? What's the actual sentence, Daniel?
Mandy bought a condo at the beach.
Okay. Mandy's the subject, bought's the verb. That one can stand alone, and there's your independent clause. But look at the beginning of it. What do I have, Marshall?
Living large.
Okay. I have a word that to my eye looks like a verb, but I've already got the verb for the sentence. It's not a helping verb. It's not am, is, are, was, were, could, should, would, do, does, did, must, might, may. Is it? Not one of those. So it's looks like a verb. So automatically my brain's thinking, looks like a verb, participle. Yeah, maybe. Okay. Living large. Does it describe Mandy?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And so I need a comma after it. She is what kind of Mandy is she? She's a living large Mandy. She's a living large Mandy. Okay? Try this. Question.
Can the participle phrase be at the
Inside the sentence? Absolutely. At the end? Yeah, you'd see it more probably in the middle. Look at this one. Good question. All right, now everybody, go ahead and write that sentence. Guys at home, write this one. The horses, everybody write it. The horses galloping through the field. The horses galloping through the field stopped abruptly. A-B-R-U-P-T, A-B-R-U-P-T-L-Y, abruptly. for the green grass. The horses galloping through the field stopped abruptly for the green grass. Now write that sentence. Everybody, pick out the independent clause, the sentence that is the basic sentence. The subject and the verb that go together to make this the sentence. Do you have it? Chance, you got it?
The horses galloping through the field.
No? Okay, I'm glad you said that. Good job. I'm really glad you said that. Chance is going to pick out the horses galloping through the field. Chance, I'd buy that if it said the horses were galloping through the field. Then I'd have a helping verb and a main verb, and my sentence, my group of words could stand alone. The horses galloping through the field. Okay, what about them galloping through the field? I don't have a complete thought here. Now, would if I put were? The horses were galloping through the field. So, okay, guys, that's not it. So let's erase that. That's not it. What verb does go with the horses?
Galloping.
Maya.
Galloping.
Nope.
Stop.
Thank you. Everybody, go bracket for the, bracket on horses, leave out galloping through the field, come back over here and put a bracket for stopped abruptly for the green grass. Now let's say this independent clause together. Eyes on the board, ready. The horses stopped abruptly for the green grass. Doesn't that make sense? Now let's check it for subject and verb that can stand alone. Here's my verb stopped. Who or what stopped?
Horses.
This, don't let participles trick you. Yes, this looks like a verb. To your eye, you see galloping. Oh, okay, that's an action word. Yes, it is. But in this sentence, it is not the verb of the sentence. It's a participle. It's a describing word. Describe those horses, Latham, for me.
They were galloping
Continue.
through the field.
Thank you. All of this, galloping through the field, is what we call the participial phrase. What does it describe? The horses. The man running across his yard fell down. Give me the sentence. The man fell down. What describes the man running across his yard? The dog barking loudly woke me up. The dog woke me up. Barking loudly describes that dog. I didn't say the dog was barking loudly. Then I could have just put a period and ended my sentence. I'm putting these participial phrases in. Guys at home, participial phrases is a big testing deal. There's a lot of this stuff, and I don't know why they feel like you need to know a bunch about participial phrases, but it's a big testing component. We've got to get this. All right, let's think of another one that interrupts the sentence. The goblins haunting the street were everywhere. The goblins were everywhere. Haunting the street describes the goblins. So it's my participial phrase. I could have put it at the beginning. I could have put it haunting the street, comma, the goblins were everywhere. You can put these participles, they're like the parentheticals. That's why I do those two as the last rules and commas. Because they can go about anywhere. Beginning, punched in, and even at the end. Do you understand that a participle has to look like a verb? But it is not the verb of the sentence. Guys at home, do you get this? If you need to copy anything else or whatever. Now we're going to do a lot of practice the rest of this week, everybody, on these two rules. It will take you a while, but you've got to refer to your notes today so that you get it. Parentheticals, opposite of math. In math, parentheses, you do it first. It's important. In grammar, they're just kind of remind me of an interjection. That, oh, yes, no, well, you don't need those. They can clarify, like I said, something, especially in the context of a paragraph. But, for the most part, you don't need them. That's why we set them off with commas. Same thing with participial phrases. We set them off with commas. The sentence still makes sense without them, but they do give a little bit more oomph to the sentence, right? Yeah, they add a little bit. Okay, remember, I'm not so sure that parentheticals are a big part of testing, but I know participial phrases are a big part throughout your standardized testing, not just in a grammar part, mainly in your reading comprehension, like appositives. We've got so many comma rules. And guys, what did I see? What did I write yesterday for one of the classes? And boy, without that comma, it changed the entire meaning of the sentence. It was something I wrote. I'll think of it in a little bit. Okay? So, you got to know these comma rules. Every time you see a but, and, nor, for, yet, for, nor, or, all those little coordinating conjunctions, every time you see one, do you put a comma?
No.
Thank you. No.
Because you have to make
It only is used if it's joining two sentences. All right, so those of you at home, you're just going to have sentences to practice and put the commas in, and then we're going to ask you. Now we're at the point where we're asking you, put the comma in and tell us, what is it? Is it an appositive? Is it a parenthetical, a parenthetical? Is it a participial phrase? You're going to have to tell us why you put that comma. Because if you just stick commas and you have no knowledge why, then that's not doing you any good. Okay? All right, everybody, come back. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.